What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. Another video means another dopamine hike. Said the buy something, the feel something, and today I am back, baby, from my little hiatus that I kind of went on. That was due to nothing really coming into review, and obviously today that has changed, seeing that we're doing a review today. And the review in question is NECA's The Shaman from Predator 2. This is a very cool and interesting figure with a lot of stuff included. But before we get into that, if you do want to pick up this figure yourself, you can get him at Target for $36.99. Unfortunately, he is not on the Target website, so you have to get him in person. But if you do want to get them online, you can get them from the Big Bad Toy Store for $41.99, or you can get them on Entertainment Earth for $39.99. Links will be in the description, so if you do want to pick one up yourself online, you can go do that. After that, you got to go to the aftermarket lords on eBay or pick them up at Target. Background information pertaining to the Shaman, not too much is known. Checking the Xenopedia page, it only really mentions how he was present there during Predator 2 with the Lost Tribe, and the only thing that really made him stick out, besides his unique armor and his arsenal, was that his predlocks were longer than the rest of the tribe's predlocks. After that, not much is really known about this boy. But with that all being said, now we can move on to the review. So starting with the unboxing, here we have the Shaman in this really cool piece of art, being surrounded by a bunch of xenomorph skulls and fire. We have the Predator 2 logo with the Shaman title. On the background, we have a brief info dump about the Shaman himself, and then we have a bunch of cool photos with some of the things included with the Shaman. Then on the side, we have the rest of the Lost Tribe. We're eventually going to get all of them. It's just in due time. Opening up the box, we have a nice larger photo of the Shaman with some of the stuff that he comes with, and then of course the figure itself with everything included. So with all that said, let's take a deeper look into the figure. So getting into articulation, starting off with the head region, you can rotate his head 360 degrees as always, which is nice to see on this figure. And then you can of course have him look up and down a decent amount, nothing too crazy, but that range of motion is there, and it's always nice to have on your figure. And then after that, you can tilt his head side to side as always nice to see as well. Very happy to see that. And because of the joint, you can have him move his head in a spherical motion, which allows him to look in all kinds of directions, which is really nice to see. So I'm very happy with the head articulation on this figure. And then looking at the arms, you can rotate both arms 360 degrees. That larger piece on the shoulder, it doesn't hinder any of the articulation in the shoulder, so it's very nice to see. And then you can bring up his arm a decent amount as well, and then of course you can open up his arm a fair amount as well. So I am very happy with the range of motion in the shoulders for this figure. Allows for a lot of posability and better holding of his accessories and weapons and whatnot. And then moving to the biceps, you can rotate the biceps 360 degrees on the shoulder with the bigger piece of armor. You can't really, because the shoulder piece doesn't really want to go under his arm, but the other arm with a smaller shoulder piece can do the full 360 rotation. Not really a deal breaker, doesn't really bother me, but just noting that for those who do care. And then the elbow articulation is really good. It's double jointed, so he's able to do those shoulder taps, which is always nice to see. Allows for better usage and handling of his accessories and just posability overall, which is really nice to see. And then moving down to the hands are always the same. Don't know how NECA would ever mess that up. You just rotate 360 degrees and bend the wrists however you please. So overall, very happy with the range of motion in the arms for this figure. No complaints, really. And then taking a look at his torso, you can rotate it 360 degrees, which is always nice to see. And of course, you can rotate the upper half individually if you wanted to as well. You can't really get him to do a crunch, but he can lean back and forth nonetheless, so it's nice to see. And you can get a nice spherical rotation out of him for better posability and balancing. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the range of motion in his torso. And finally, looking at the leg articulation, you can rotate this leg 360 degrees and pivot the thigh however you please. On the other leg though, you can pivot the thigh however you please, but you cannot get that 360 leg rotation because of the utilities hanging from his belt. By no means does this make the figure bad. It kind of sucks that you can't get that rotation, but it's not really a deal breaker, at least in my opinion, because he still has good leg articulation. You can't really get a split out of him either because of the utilities on his belt, but a Predator figure doesn't have to do a full split to have good leg articulation, at least in my opinion. It's just nice to see that they can do a split. And then when it comes to the knee bend, you can't get a full butt kick out of him, but not every Predator figure can do a full butt kick. It has double jointed knees, and the bend is still really good nonetheless. It's about, I want to say, maybe 80-95% of a butt kick, so not bad at all. And then moving down to the feet, you can rotate them 360 degrees and bend the ankle however you please. So very nice to see that as well, and I'm fairly pleased with the leg articulation on this figure. I know some people are going to be more anal than others about the utilities on the belt limiting the upper thighs, but for me personally, I don't think it ruins the figure by any means, because you can still get some pretty good poses and balances out of him. And overall, I'm fairly satisfied with the articulation range of motion throughout this entire figure's body. So yeah, with all that said, let's move on to the accessories and features included with this boy. Of course, the first big thing is the head swap, the second head that is included, and it's just him with his mask on, and he looks mean, he looks aggressive, he looks intimidating, and I just really like this design, you know, using a skull as a mask rather than a traditional biomask. I think they did a really good job at nailing the sculpt in the painting and getting his face under it, nailing his pupils and his skin tone and pattern. Just the attention to detail is phenomenal, and I really like this design. And then up next is the cloak that is included, and this thing is really high quality. It doesn't feel like you're gonna rip it. It doesn't feel like it's gonna tear easily. It looks very good, and there's this wiring in it to, you know, allow you to take full advantage of the cloak and how it wraps around the figure's body. So you just take off his head, and then obviously just, you know, put it on like a, you know, normal piece of clothing. Then you pop his head on, and there you go. That is, I think, really well executed. They didn't like give us some cheap just like plastic mold or anything. They gave us something that looks, you know, very lively and, you know, high quality, and it really adds to the figure's design. And just, I commend NECA for going the extra mile on the cloak. And then we have the swappable hands. There are 5 hands included. We have 2 open hands, 2 holding hands, one closed a little tighter than the other, and then we have this half open, half closed hand. For the first handheld accessory, we have the smart disc, and we obviously have 2 versions of them, one that's closed up and one that's extended and ready to be thrown. We've seen smart discs 100 times already. It's the same sculpt that we're used to seeing, and, you know, I have no complaints with the sculpt whatsoever. The paint job is this, like, you know, silver color. We're used to seeing smart discs in a variety of different colors, like copper, bronze, black, gunmetal, gray, gold sometimes, and here we just have a nice generic silver. Nothing wrong with that. And one thing they actually did was on the utility belt that he has, the sheath for the smart disc is actually covered by some rags and pouches, so they went the extra mile and sculpted a smart disc already in the sheath, so you don't have to worry about, you know, not being able to display your predator with a smart disc, because he'll always have one on standby now. And for our next weapon is this one-handed axe, and I love the creativity of this. It's like, you know, the spine and the skull act as the handle and hilt, and then the blade rests inside the skull. I think it's just a cool design that you would definitely see on a predator's arsenal, and it just, I think they did a good job with the sculpt and the paint job. The skull looks weathered, the blade looks used, it looks like it's gone through hell and back. I just think they did a phenomenal job with the visual presentation and creativity of this weapon, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. For the next weapon included, we have the sacrificial dagger. Of course, our boy the Shaman has to have one of these. He's got to be making them sacrifices. I really like the creativity of using some spinal cord for the handle of the blade, and then of course the blade itself looks really nasty and intimidating. It looks like something a predator would have, and of course we got some blood on the blade because the Shaman be making those sacrifices, reaching those quotas. And overall, I really like the creativity and overall visual execution of this weapon. NECA did a really good job at nailing this. And what's a bloody sacrificial dagger without a bloody skull showing that he is reaching those quotas on his sacrifices? And I really like how, you know, just instead of giving us a generic skull, they threw some blood on there and whatnot. And obviously this is a skull that we've seen 100 times with other predator figures, so the sculpt is still the same, and I have no complaints about that. So overall, very happy with the visual execution of this skull, and I think the blood is just that cherry on top. And for the final weapon, we have his shaman stick for his shamaning needs, and I really like how there's wrist blades on the end of it, so he can also use it as a spear. There's a lot of cool little bones and, you know, little details at the very top of it, and then of course there's the handles that go along down the shaman stick, and it is taller than our boy, so this is a long accessory. I do think they did a really good job with the visual execution of this, and I think it's just an overall cherry on top, adding to his arsenal of, sacrificial shamaning weapons. I don't even know what shamaning means, if that's even a word. But yeah, very happy with this accessory and how it came out. And that's pretty much everything for accessories and features, so we can move on to the visual presentation of this figure. So if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you know around the visual presentation segment of the NECA videos, I just shill how good these figures look, because NECA does go above and beyond and making sure their figures look phenomenal, and I've been trying to keep things brief every single time because I can go on for hours why I love NECA figures. So I'm going to try and do that here again, starting off with the sculpt of this figure, starting off with like just his skin and just his body. I think they did a really good job at nailing all the wrinkles and bumps, the wrinkles and the bags under his eyes, the wrinkles and fleshy bits in his mouth, the netting across his body just looks really good. Makes him look alive, makes this already organic being look even more organic. And then, of course, the sculpt on his armor and clothing, the bones, all the little scratches and dents, and just, the wear and tear on him looks really good, adds more life and character to him, makes it look like he's been places, looks like he's done things. And of course the paint job complements the sculpt really well, on his body. His pigment, his skin pattern kind of just all blends and works well with itself. And then of course the armor, it looks worn, it looks used, adds to the already worn wear and tear sculpt. So the wear and tear paint job, just that cherry on top, just looks phenomenal. But this is usually where the rant would end about the visual presentation of this NECA figure. But when he has his mask on, they went the extra mile to get the details under the mask down, like the pupils, the wrinkles under his eyes, the wrinkles in his skin, like what was on his brow and everything, the skin pattern. They got all of that down, and those are tiny little things you're probably never gonna really notice unless you put a magnifying glass over this figure. So yeah, I have nothing but respect for NECA for going that extra mile and getting all those tiny details down that you're not even really gonna notice. So yeah, I love how this figure looks. And now with that out of the way, let's move things forward to some size comparisons to put this figure into scale. Starting off with NECA's big chap. Then we have Jazz wears the Spartan Collection Emil. Jazz wears the World of Halo 3 ODST Rookie. Hasbro's Star Wars The Black Series Umbaran Operative Arc Trooper. And finally, we have McFarlane's The Doomslayer. And with size comparisons now out of the way, here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is pretty much where I give my general opinion, thoughts, get a discussion rolling about this figure, likes, dislikes, what I would change or alter, any just stuff like that, and just give you guys something to bounce off of and go down into the comment section below and get a conversation started. And if you do comment down below, I'll most likely reply to your comments, because obviously I do like talking about this stuff. To just get that sour stuff out of the way, we're going to discuss the negative first when it comes to this figure. And there's only really one thing that does come to mind, and that is how his right leg's range of motion is semi-limited due to the utilities hanging off of his belt. And now me personally, I'm not completely bent out of shape. I don't think this ruins the figure. I don't think it's a deal breaker by any means. I just know that there are people out there who will be bummed out by this factor more than me or you or whoever. So I do think it is fair to still put it in the negative category when looking at this figure. But even with the limited range of motion that we have in the right leg, the range of motion we do have is still pretty good. You can still get him to do poses and stances and whatnot, and he can still balance himself. So I don't think it ruins the figure, but like I said, I know there are people who are probably bummed out by this factor, so hence it's still in the negative category. And that's the only really thing I can think about when it comes to this figure. And going to the more positive side of things I really do like about this figure, starting off with the big one, which is the visual presentation of this figure. I love the visual presentation with all NECA figures. If you've seen my other NECA videos, you would know this. And I have to give bonus points for the detailing behind the mask. As I said in the visual presentation segment in the video, they went the extra mile to get all the details, in his eyes, the bags under his eyes, his brow, his skin pattern, his pigment. They still got that all down to a T when he has his mask on. They didn't, cut any corners or, do less effort on his face because he was wearing a mask. They still went all the way and went that extra mile, which is phenomenal. And then the quality of the cloak is something I also really like. The fabric they used, it looks worn, it looks used, but it's also very sturdy. It doesn't feel like you're going to accidentally rip it or anything. And I really like the usage of the wiring. It allows you to take full advantage of the cloak for poses and like toyography or anything like that. So I really like what NECA did and how they handled the cloak. And finally is the variety of accessories that we get with this figure. And with Predator figures, figures, you know, they always come with a bunch of accessories, but like they don't make it feel like we're getting the same stuff every time. Yeah, we get smart discs and combi sticks frequently, but like still we get weapons that cater towards the individual predator, making them feel more special because this accessory is catered to this figure and this figure only. So I really like how NECA tries to make these figures feel special by giving them their own special accessories, and you know, plenty of them at that as well. And then the only thing I could really think of under the category of to be desired that I think would have been really cool if they did include this with the figure is his mask alone. Like, you know, obviously you still have the 2 heads, but then have his mask be another accessory or a prop piece, whatever you want to consider it, like how they did with the Jungle Hunters bio mask. I just think that would have been really cool if they did that, but I'm not, you know, gonna dock points or anything. I'm not upset that they didn't do that. I just think it would be really cool if they did. And yeah, so that's all I can pretty much think about under the category of to be desired. So my final verdict on this figure, another great looking figure by NECA. I have no complaints with the visual presentation whatsoever. The feel of this figure is good if you can get past his right leg being semi-restricted by the utilities on his belt. And I think he comes with a great amount of accessories and a great choice of accessories. So I think this is overall a very well-rounded figure that I do recommend, especially if you are trying to collect the Lost Tribe. Obviously, you need to get him because he is part of that tribe. So yeah, I think that this is a good figure all around, and I do recommend picking him up if you ever have the chance. And that is pretty much everything I have to say about the Shaman, so we can move things out to the intro. So if you have this figure already, what do you like or dislike about this figure? Do you think this is a good or bad figure? You're more than welcome to go down to the comment section below, get a discussion started. Most likely we'll reply to your comments because I do like talking about this stuff, obviously. And if you did enjoy this video, a like, a subscription would be awesome. You already know how I feel about commenting. You're more than welcome to. And then don't worry about the bell because we both know that shit is broken. And if you do want to see more stuff like this, there's plenty of it up on the channel. I already have a portfolio of Predator reviews. I also review Alien stuff done by NECA, and then I do other stuff like Halo and Star Wars, and every now and then there will be some Legos or a old figure that I do want to review. So any if that does interest you, you're more than welcome to go check that out. Show me some support and love on the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a great day, and please stay hydrated. It's important.